The movie opens with a woman named Elise returning home from a late-night jog. The story doesn't even start yet, but we already see her roommate inside the shower, bloodied and whimpering. Elise doesn't hear her as she's listening to music at high volume. Unaware, she heads toward the shower, only to find a masked and muscular figure known as Loverboy. Elise also notices her roommate's lifeless body. But before she can act, days later, we meet a group of college students, Phoebe, and her friends Christine and Mike, who are a couple. They are studying at the library as their exam is in less than 48 hours. Phoebe, who is a workhorse, reveals that she has a babysitting job even tomorrow night, and she can't turn it down because the money is good. Upon hearing this, Christine advises her to ask her boyfriend, Tom, to cover, but Mike doesn't think he's kid-friendly. Elsewhere, we see Tom, the brutal man they were suggesting to cover the babysitting job, fighting in a professional wrestling match in an arena. He emerges victorious after a long and grueling fight, but his reward is a pathetic $20. This leaves him extremely disappointed, but he has no choice but to accept it, as he's broke as hell. When Tom gets home, he shows Phoebe a missing poster for Elise, and this leaves her shocked as the two were in the same college. Phoebe then asks him to babysit a kid named Grace tomorrow night, as she needs to study for her exams. Tom initially refuses, as he'll look like a creep, but when she stresses how much she needs the money, he has no choice but to agree. The next day, Tom arrives at the babysitting house, which is located in a remote area. He meets the couple, Gil and Barb Foster, who are a bit confused to see a man for babysitting, but decide to trust him anyway. We also learn that Grace is not Gil's biological daughter, and he has been married to Barb for 7 months. The couple then leads Tom upstairs to introduce him to Grace, but she's too absorbed in her video games to acknowledge him. Once the couple is gone, Tom locks the front door, unaware of a mysterious figure watching him from a distance. Tom then approaches Grace and tries to be friendly, but she's still absorbed in her video games. Sometime later, Tom orders pizza, and a delivery guy shows up at the house. He appears to be a big fan of the wrestler and eagerly requests a photo with him. After a brief chat, the pizza guy departs. He begins smoking his vape in his car when he notices someone in the distance. He thinks it's a peeper, and exits his car to confront them. But just when he reaches a nearby shack, Loverboy appears and slashes his throat in one swift motion, killing the poor guy. The masked man then approaches Tom's car and slashes its tires as well. Inside the house, Tom is making tea for Grace when he gets a text from Phoebe, but he ignores it. Meanwhile, the attic of the house suddenly opens slowly, and 2 armed, masked guys descend on a ladder. One of them, Bernie, tries to terrorize Tom in the kitchen, and the wrestler asks who the hell he is. At the same time, the second guy, Spinhead, advances toward Grace and freaks her out. Downstairs, Tom hears the scream, and Bernie orders him to lie down on the floor, but the wrestler doesn't oblige, and throws a kettle full of boiling water at Bernie, scalding his face. Tom then grabs him, and shoves his face onto the stove, causing him to scream in pain before finally passing out. Next, Tom rushes upstairs and is shocked to see Spinhead holding Grace. They engage in an intense stare-down, during which Grace manages to run away from the scene. Tom hits Spinhead multiple times, but the latter stabs a knife into his foot. As Tom stumbles back in pain, Spinhead seizes the opportunity to walk out. Later, we see Grace hiding under her bed, trembling as Spinhead enters the room. Tom, meanwhile, manages to painfully remove the knife from his foot, causing blood to gush out. Soon enough, Spinhead tracks the girl, but before he can hurt her, Tom bursts into the room and attacks him with a flurry of blows, until Spinhead gets knocked out cold. He then grabs a rope and ties the Spinhead's hands, making sure he can't attack again. Elsewhere, we notice that Bernie has regained consciousness in the kitchen. Tom's phone, which is on the counter, gets another text from Phoebe, so Bernie urges her to come to the house. Shortly after, Tom and Grace arrive in the kitchen, only to find the phone is gone and Bernie is missing. Tom, now on edge, grabs a knife and decides to leave the house with Grace. And this is when Tom learns that the pizza guy is dead and his car tires have been slashed, so they rush back inside and lock the door behind them. As Tom wonders how the thugs got inside the house, his attention is shifted to the attic. He opens its door and peers inside, where he notices a skull and other unsettling items belonging to a demonic cult. This spooks Tom, so he quickly descends back down and urges Grace to lock herself in the bathroom. He then heads to interrogate Spinhead, demanding to know what they want. And so, Spinhead openly reveals that they want the child and the other girl, meaning Phoebe. Upon hearing this, Tom's anger boils over, and he punches Spinhead before storming out of the room. At the same time, Phoebe arrives outside the house with Mike and Christine. They head to the front door, but no one opens it, so Phoebe texts her boyfriend. Unbeknownst to them, Loverboy has quietly snuck inside their car. Phoebe soon receives a text saying boo, right when Bernie appears behind her and grabs her roughly. The coward Mike quickly runs to his car, while Phoebe manages to elbow Bernie. She then sprays a liquid on his injured face, causing him to scream and flee. Just then, Tom finally comes out, while Mike starts the car to flee, unaware that Loverboy is sitting right behind him in the backseat. The others try to warn him, but it's too late. Poor Mike then stumbles out of the car, bleeding, but the maniac continues stabbing him. Tom knows it's too late to save him, so he quickly leads the girls back inside. After shutting the door, Tom asks for the girls' phones, but Phoebe's was taken by Bernie, while Christine left hers in the car. Elsewhere, Bernie is screaming in pain, and heads to a nearby shed where several masked cult members are present. We meet the group's leader, Jackal, who is visibly annoyed at how long it's taking to finish the job. There is also a mysterious door in front of them with bizarre demonic symbols. Meanwhile, at home, Tom explains the situation to them and calms the girls down. The three then approach Grace, who has safely locked herself in the bathroom. Returning to the shed, a complete nutjob named Slackjaw is ordered to handle the situation. Back in the house, Christine is tending to Tom's injuries, when there's a crashing sound in the distance. He thus grabs his knife and goes to investigate the source. In the kitchen, he sees Slackjaw trying to break in through the door. And so, he stabs the psycho's hand, and then bashes his head with a pan, rendering him unconscious. Tom then notices Bernie in the distance, who immediately runs away in fear. Soon, Bernie returns to the shed and informs Jackal that they failed once again. The leader is furious at the repeated failures, and claims it's time to unleash their true power. He places his hand on the demonic door, and eerie whispers begin to echo. As a result of the bizarre ritual, we see Spinhead screaming, and breaking his restraints. He starts punching the floor, which is heard by the others downstairs. Alarmed, Tom quickly hands a butcher's knife to the girls, and heads upstairs to confront the intruder. But to his shock, Spinhead now looks terrifying and his eyes glow with a bright orange light. Tom fights with all his might, but Spinhead is far too powerful now, and easily beats him up. Tom then runs to the kitchen, and grabs a pan as his weapon. When Spinhead removes his mask, a grotesque face is revealed. But then, Phoebe appears and slices at Spinhead's neck with the butcher's knife, but it has no effect, and Spinhead effortlessly throws her to the ground, the knife still lodged in his neck. Despite this, a determined Tom strikes Spinhead with the pan numerous times, finally decapitating him. Just when the couple breathes a sigh of relief, Spinhead without a head starts moving again, dragging himself toward Tom. At the window, Slackjaw grabs his arm from outside to prevent him from moving. Here, Phoebe grabs the knife again, and repeatedly strikes Slackjaw's head until he finally dies. Spinhead also collapses at the same time, finally ending the madness. Moments later, Tom exits the house holding Spinhead's head, and throws it to Loverboy. The latter then storms inside the shed, and tells his master what happened. This angers Jackal greatly, he's never had a ritual fall apart like this. He thus begins performing another ritual, causing the mysterious door to start thumping like a beating heart. Soon, Mike comes back to life as a demonic zombie, and knocks on the door. Christy is elated to see him, and impulsively decides to let him inside, despite Phoebe pleading with her not to do so. This obviously turns out to be a bad decision.
No.
Mike then grabs Phoebe, and tries to bite her as well, but Tom shows up just in time, and begins fighting him. With the help of his girlfriend, Tom overpowers the zombie, and splits his head apart with some wrestling moves. Meanwhile, a distraught Phoebe desperately tries to save Christine, but it's too late, and she passes away. Just then, Gil and Barb return to the house, and are horrified by the blood and dead bodies. Tom explains the situation to them, and takes Gil to the attic, showing him the skull and the demonic artifacts. However, Tom is unable to understand how the attackers got inside in the first place, and it all feels like it was planned. And then all of a sudden,
somebody had to let them in, Gil.
Downstairs, Loverboy also arrives, and Barb scolds him for failing to manage the situation. In a shocking twist, it's revealed that even the parents are involved with the cult, and plan the whole thing. Gil then joins them, and the deranged couple reveals that their goal is to die together as a family, in honor of the Eternal Ones, so they can live forever in paradise. Even worse, none of this will be possible without Phoebe, as the Eternal Ones demand the sacrifice of young women. The couple then forcefully grabs Grace and Phoebe, leading them to the shed for the ritual. Meanwhile in the attic, Tom finally is approached by Loverboy. The wrestler wants to fight, but Loverboy activates the creepy skull, which turns out to be the first leader of the cult, known as the Head. He suddenly begins to scream, "Feed me." So Loverboy assures him that he will. Elsewhere, as the crazy couple is dragging the girls to the shed, Grace says she needs to pee. In the attic, Loverboy grabs Tom and tries to feed him to the Head, who opens its mouth in excitement. Gil also returns to the house with Grace to let her use the bathroom. But she grabs a knife from there, and stabs him in the leg, causing him to flee in agony. Meanwhile, Loverboy is on the verge of feeding Tom to the Head, but Grace intervenes and stabs him in the back. This enrages Loverboy, and he tries to attack her, but Tom chucks him into the head instead. The macho's scalp is devoured in a matter of seconds. Seeing this, Tom delivers one final blow to finally end his life. Elsewhere, Gil arrives at the shed, and yells about how Grace stabbed him. This greatly annoys Jackal, so he orders the couple to find Grace, as the ritual won't work without her. Meanwhile, Tom and Grace stumble upon a shack filled with weapons, where they find Pizza Boy's dead body. Tom takes the car keys from his pocket so they can leave. Moments later, Gil and Barb come across Grace with Tom, and they have the Head with them. Tom gives them an ultimatum: get Phoebe so they can leave, or he'll destroy the Head. This deeply worries Gil, who tells Tom they need to talk to their leader first. Soon, Jackal arrives with his sidekick, Meat, and explains to Tom that they can't give Phoebe up, as she's needed for the sacrifice. He warns that if the sacrifice doesn't go ahead, there will be death on an unimaginable scale. But the strong unofficial babysitter doesn't seem to care, and immediately splits the Head in half. Seeing this, a disappointed Jackal orders Meat to kill Tom, and bring the girl alive. After Jackal leaves, Meat and Tom begin fighting with each other. Meat proves to be very strong, making it difficult for Tom to overpower him. After a long and intense battle, Tom learns that the Head is still alive. And when Meat is about to finish Tom off, the latter urges Grace to feed the cultist to the hungry Head. She brings the Head close to Meat's neck, prompting it to bite him, and kill him on the spot. After this, Tom suddenly asks Grace if she can drive, to which she reveals that her dad used to let her steer the wheel. Tom says it's good enough, and hands her the keys to Pizza Boy's car. He says that if he doesn't return in 10 minutes, she should drive away and find the cops. After Grace departs, Tom heads to the shed, where Jackal and the crazy couple have tied up Phoebe. They're disappointed to see him alive, and realize their plan is going to fail. Moments later, a red light appears behind the demonic door, and Jackal explains that the Eternal Ones are trying to get through. When the door finally opens, Jackal says Phoebe needs to get in, or they all will get destroyed. However, Tom pushes Jackal instead. The door also instantly closes, and it appears that the ritual is finally over. But seconds later, the door bursts open with lightning crashing and creepy voices screaming. Upon seeing this, the insane Tom decides to go in and fight whatever's on the other side. But just as he's about to enter, he's punched in the face by someone. It turns out to be Jackal, now returned with the powers of the Eternal Ones. Gil begs for forgiveness, but Jackal throws him through the doorway instead. He then declares that since the contract was broken, he will now bring pain and misery to all of them. Now they all have to be his slaves and serve him for eternity. But his tough speech is interrupted when a car suddenly crashes into him out of nowhere, and the impact hurls him into the other dimension and finally destroys him for good. It turns out to be Grace who drove the car. The group then proceeds to leave when, all of a sudden, Meat, who turns out to still be alive, knocks Tom over and presses down on his chest with his foot. Seeing this, Phoebe and Grace grab a metal hook and drag it straight into Meat's neck. They then pull down hard on the chain. Tom, now free, also rushes to help them, and this finally rips Meat's head off and finishes him for good. Seeing this, Barb tries to hype them up, but an annoyed Phoebe punches her in the face. In the final scene, the 4 survivors get into a car and drive away from the house. Just then, someone shows up, and it turns out to be Bernie, who is still alive. His eyes are glowing as he holds the head, who is screaming, "Feed me."